Let's have a conversation about clays. So we had Bacanora on recently, and they've obviously got a huge opportunity there. They've also got Ganfeng as a shareholder and partner, and then Lithium Americas. Okay, one is on AIM. Bacanora is on AIM, about £50 million, and then you've got Lithium Americas, which is NYSE, about $800 million. Couldn't be more different apparently, but they've both got the same problem, which is, how do they solve the problem technically? And what's your view on both of those companies?
So I've represented both of those companies. I don't represent either of them now, but very familiar with them. And, there was a thought that Ganfeng being partnered with Lithium Americas in Argentina and also invested at the parent level at Lithium Americas, that I went to Lithium Americas' site visit when they announced their pre-feasibility study in 2018. And at that point, they were advertising how, Ganfeng had tested their clay material. And, it looked like Ganfeng was going to be partnered with Lithium Americas. But then Trump's trade war last year and all things China, strategic minerals, et cetera, made that kind of untenable. So I think Ganfeng's taste of clay with Lithium Americas, but then their realization that they couldn't do a deal with Lithium Americas, attracted them to Bacanora, right? So, and then they did a deal with Bacanora, and they got a very good valuation at Bacanora because Bacanora's valuation is very low. So Ganfeng is the most astute deal maker in this space, in my observation, and they're also the greatest technical partner that you could have for a lithium project. So clay is very difficult. I can't remember if I said this already earlier in this interview, but Elon Musk tweeted that lithium's abundant, but making high purity lithium hydroxide from clay is a challenge, right? So if anyone's going to crack that challenge, it's going to be Ganfeng, okay? First, in my opinion. So in my opinion, if Ganfeng and Bacanora approve the process, then other investors who are, will start to believe in, let's say, the management of Lithium Americas, that they can pull off something like that as well. Because I have a great respect for the management of Lithium Americas, right? Rene LeBlanc, John Evans, these guys are very well skilled, but no one at that company has ever built a project or undertaken a project of the magnitude that they're contemplating with their Thacker Pass, right? And there were the hearings at the environmental, their draft EIS. They had some hearings. They're in this period where they're awaiting comments. They're trying to get permitted, but this is a very big project. And having represented that company for 7 years and just spoken to a lot of strategic investors, a lot of hedge funds, a lot of mutual funds, and say, hey, come and invest in this. And they're like, well, there's hard rock, there's brines, clay's hard. Like, you sound good, it sounds right, but there's lots of hard rock stories out there, right? That are less risky. Like, why wouldn't I just do that? Like, why the promise sounds great, but if Ganfeng proves it with Bacanora, right, then I think those skeptics will say, oh, if they've done it, okay, great. Ganfeng's proved it. This is in America. That's great. So I just think Lithium America is going to continue to have a challenge. It could be wrong, right? There could be companies, but companies like Piedmont are speaking to the same people that Lithium America is speaking to, right? So if you're a strategic investor and you're thinking, should I try clay or should I try, proven hard rock? Which am I going to do? I think, on balance, and the valuation, is very different. So there's a lot of retail enthusiasm, for Thacker Pass because it's in Nevada, Tesla's in Nevada, it's had 10 years of this kind of connection. So it's good marketing, but I think I'm watching Bacanora. Bacanora is very, low valuation. I believe it's already permitted, right? So Thacker Pass isn't even permitted, and it's not a slam dunk that it, will get permitted on the timeline that they're anticipating. So other from a value perspective, Bacanora is much more attractive, but I wouldn't rush into be buying Bacanora stock, now either, because they're still waiting to redefine their definitive feasibility study with Ganfeng's impact. But they're going to come to market at some point and say, this is the cost, and Ganfeng is going to write a check, to build this, but Bacanora is going to need additional funding for it. And at that moment, right, that might be the right time to enter, Bacanora.